First, though, for many, art and money are opposites, but artists too do like to make a living, if possible. And a healthy or maybe not so healthy art market has sprung up to sell their work, often at prices many of the old masters would have never imagined.
Hong Kong's second art fair last week was a showcase for that art market, and as we found out, the current economic downturn has had both positive and negative effects.
What a difference a year makes. The lead sponsor of last year's Art Hong Kong 08, the first such event, was the Lehman Brothers. By September, though, the global credit crunch and the collapse of major financial institutions, including Lehman Brothers, had taken the economy into tough times. With premium items doing poorly at recent auctions and a general drop in the art market, many approached this year's fair with caution. Art Hong Kong 09, which ended on Sunday, opened with no lead sponsor. Despite the economic downturn, the price of the booths had not dropped. Around 250 galleries had applied to attend. This year, the fair accommodated 110 instead of the 100 last year. They came from 24 different countries.
I think that they've been having quite a difficult time at home. And so I think that they feel that it's been quite a positive experience for them so far. They've made some sales, but galleries are really seeing that after the economic crisis that Asia is going to be playing a much more important role in all of our lives, be it culturally, economically, politically, and it's important to engage with Asia for the long term.
Renowned galleries such as the Gagosian Gallery from the United States and the Lisson Gallery and White Cube from London were here for the first time. With a strong presence in the United States and outlets in London and Rome, the Gagosian is setting up its first Asian gallery here in Hong Kong.
Beijing will always have more studios, for example, than Hong Kong does for artists. But in terms of people's willingness to come to the city, to be exposed to modern and contemporary art, and then eventually acquire it, it's clear that Hong Kong has many features that make it very attractive. If you've been to a Gagosian in London or in New York or Rome, for example, the architecture tends to be quite unique and special, and we know that these types of spaces exist in Hong Kong, but they perhaps aren't available right now, so we are happy to be patient until we find the right thing for us in the right location.
More than 40 years old, the Lisson Gallery is one of Britain's pioneering galleries. It represents artists such as Anish Kapoor, Tony Cragg and Richard Deacon. The gallery debuted at the fair with a solo exhibition by one of its longtime artists, Julian Opie. Halfway through the fair, the gallery had already sold 8 of his paintings.
We're doing fine for two reasons. Firstly, we've been established for a very, very long time. And secondly, we did not participate in this kind of trying to push everything up as high as possible. And we had a policy of always staying 20% below or more the average auction prices for artists we represent. So that in many respects has served us very well. Whereas certain other galleries, every time you've got a record auction price, they double the price in the gallery.
Many said the recession has in fact made the art market a little healthier. It's lowered the prices of some brand name pieces to a more realistic level, filtered out many speculators, and created more opportunity for serious collectors and institutions such as museums to buy art at a more reasonable price. Ben Brown, who runs a gallery in London, returned to the fair this year, bringing with him 2 Francis Bacon paintings, worth an estimated 31.2 million Hong Kong dollars. He too is setting up a new gallery here this autumn.
Rental levels and the costs involved in setting up a gallery have decreased and the opportunities are easier to access. And I do definitely feel that Hong Kong, more than many other places, is able to bounce back from problematic periods in a much faster time.
The same opportunities have arisen for one local gallery, Grotto Fine Art, which solely represents Hong Kong artists. It's also expanding. After waiting 7 years for the right location, which he's now found at a cheaper rent, its owner has opened a new space for more experimental projects, right under the main gallery.
In addition to being a storage, it is also an exhibition space because of the different setting, with the wooden floor, with the, I think, more modern setting. It is more suitable for sculpture, and that's what the space could be dedicated for. It's more three-dimensional works and installation works. With this economy, people are not going to go for, extremely expensive things with a good investment value only. So what they would do is to find something that they genuinely like with a reasonable, realistic price. And Hong Kong artists, I think they do offer that.
Apart from showing works for sale by such artists as Damien Hirst, Roy Lichtenstein, Yoshitomo Nara, Takashi Murakami, Picasso and Giacometti, the London gallery White Cube also presented one of the fair's highlights, a sculpture exhibition by Anthony Gormley. There was also a non-commercial exhibition focusing on another emerging market, the Middle East. Curated by the chairman of the fair's advisory group, Crossing the Persian Gulf showcased work by artists in Iran, Iraq and the United Arab Emirates.
We heard a lot about Dubai. We know that there's a fairly active cultural scene there. There are emerging artists and galleries of considerable importance. One in terms, obviously, of the Persian Gulf, but also, I think, now more broadly. And they're showing the work of Persian Gulf artists around the world. So it was a sort of opportunity for us to explore an area that otherwise was not really represented in the Hong Kong Fair.
Apart from the business, the fair is also a platform for cultural exchange, art education, discovery of new talent and innovation. Formerly the world's #1 women's tennis player and a record 9-time winner of the Wimbledon women's single title, Martina Navratilova has become a painter. She paints not with a brush but with her tennis racket, in collaboration with Slovak artist Juro Kralik. For the past 9 years, the double have created a series of 300 paintings that now sell for anything up to $1 million Hong Kong dollars. Some of the earnings go to charity.
Tennis is also a kind of art. It's like a performing art. It's like theater or something like that. So this is a collaboration between an artist, artist, a tennis player, and the artist, a visual artist.
Anybody can hit the ball, but how many times and where, and again, Juro gets the idea. So once you see the finished pieces, oh, I could have come up with that. Yeah, well, you could have also suspended a shark in formaldehyde, but you didn't come up with it. So it's original, and that's something to be said for that, because there's not that many original ideas out there. And then Juro made it come to life.
So which one does Martina enjoy more, tennis or art?
This is easier in a way because, people either like it or they don't. I really have nothing to do with it. It's very subjective. With tennis, you always know win or lose, so it's very specific, which makes it good when you win, horrible when you lose.
Following on from last year's Dream Museum project, the Asia Art Archive came back to this fair with an idea from a respondent who'd suggested a Dream Museum might take the form of a convenience store.
We really like this idea of mass accessibility, familiarity, open 24/7, not the museum as somewhere scary that you have to know about art to go to. And so we thought it was quite an interesting way to try and think to present a collection.
The Asia Art Archive also organised panel discussions, screenings and talks such as this one, in which columnist Johan Chu advised on collecting art in a recession.
We always encourage people to buy what they love, because at the end of the day, if the artwork loses all of its value, it's still valuable to you if you like it. Whereas if you're just investing in a stock or something, you can't hang that on the wall after it's been wiped out.
Economic uncertainty will continue to pose challenges for galleries in the primary market. Last year, the fair was quick to disclose overall sales figures. Not so this time. But for some, Art Hong Kong is still the best place for business.
I think art fairs are a very expensive business, but the truth is, across the water in mainland China, there are increasing numbers of mainland collectors. By 2020, there will be 600 million middle-class people in the mainland. Those people are all possible collectors of art. So I think the art fairs that will do well will be Asian art fairs. I think the art fairs that will do badly will be Western art fairs. So Hong Kong has got everything to play for. It's in the final. It just needs to win the cup.